All right, angles part two, and let's add a couple words. Right, so we have vertical angles, linear pairs, we have complements and supplements. All right, let's draw some of these. Vertical angle, so just take two lines. Two lines we do know based on postulates intersect at a point, and they form actually two sets of vertical angles. You see that angle, red? It's the same as that. You see how this purple one? It's the same as that. Vertical angles are congruent. Vertical angles are congruent. And we can talk about why, and I'm going to talk about why when I talk about a linear pair. So take a line. That's one line. Let's take a point on that line and extend it in a different direction using a ray. Whoa. Okay. Let's talk about the blue angle versus the red angle. Right, see those two angles? What do we know about them? Well, it turns out that we know that they are linear pair. This angle plus this angle form a line. Literally exactly what it says. Linear line pair, two angles. So you take these two angles and they form a line, which means, what do you know for sure about the blue plus the red? Blue angle, whatever it is, plus red angle equals 180 degrees. Of course they do. They form a line. We already talked about what a straight angle is and the fact that if you go from here and rotate to there, that's 180 degrees. So a linear pair, they add up equal 180. And so we can make this and kind of combo it and talk about, well, why are then vertical angles always congruent? Okay, so let's take a look at this. See this purple? See this red? They're a linear pair. So the purple plus the red have to be 180. But yeah, see that red and that purple, they have to be 180. So if you take this purple plus the red and you get 180, and you take the same red plus a different angle and they equal 180, well then those two angles have to be equal. Sounds pretty logical, right? Vertical angles, I don't care if they're small vertical angles like the red, less than 90, or bigger ones. If they're vertical, they are congruent. They have to be. It's pretty much these two work in combination with each other. Now these other two, they're just kind of words. Complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. Supplementary add up to 180 degrees. All linear pairs are supplementary. Great, right? Supplements, they just mean they add up to 180. So we can take an angle of 40 and an angle of 140 and boom, they add up to 180. Great, they're supplements of each other, right? If we take a 90 degree angle, so we say that's 90, we define it 90, and we take any interior point and connect it, well then what do we know about that angle versus that angle? Well, they're complements of each other. I don't know what they are, but this guy plus this guy have to add up to 90 because we know the angle addition postulate says that this angle plus this angle equals the total. So there's all sorts of things you can use with complements and supplements. Complements and supplements mean 90 and 180. Linear pair are a pair of angles that form a line, and then vertical angles when we know they're congruent. And there's all those other problems that come up in this section. So we can do, okay, let's take this one. Let's say this is a 90 degree. And I tell you it's 90 degree because I do that. And then I draw this and I say angle 1 and angle 2. We know that 1 plus 2 has to equal 90, but what if I'm like, you know what? I know that angle 1 ratioed to angle 2. What if it was a 2 to 3 ratio? meaning for every degree angle 2 was by 3, this one is by 2. I don't know what they are. Maybe it's 20 and 30. 4 and 6. Who knows? But you know what you can do? You can just call that one 2x, and you can call that one 3x. Because whatever x is, you're guaranteeing that this is a 3 to 2 ratio, or a 2 to 3 ratio written the other way. But what do you know about them? They have to add up to 90. They're complements of each other, or using the angle addition postulate. This guy plus this guy equals the total, but you know the total, it's 90. So 2x plus 3x equals 90. 5x equals 90. So then what does x equal? Right? X equals 18. And if x is 18, what are the two angles? Well, that's 36. And that's 54. And look, they have a 2 to 3 ratio. 36 to 54 is 2 to 3. Okay, so you can use all this stuff to kind of solve problems. You can do other ones where there's some cool ones that are something like this. Okay, so pretend those are straight lines. And let's say this is 3x. And this is 5y. Okay. And what we also know is that this is 7x plus 80. Will that work? Yeah, that'll work. Okay, so let's say we know this. Okay, what are you going to do here? So what do you know? Do you know that this 7x plus 80 is congruent to 5y? Sure, you could write that down. It's not going to be helpful. You know that this is true. But that's one equation and it's got x's and y's in it. It's true, but it's not helpful. So when you're given this situation, you want to relate the x's to the x's if possible. So how is this angle related to that angle? Well, they're not congruent. They're not vertical like these two are, but they form a line, so you know they're a linear pair. So let's do 3x plus 7x plus 80 equals 180. This is 10x. Subtracting that 80 means 100, and x equals 10. Okay, so that means that's 30, and that means that's 150. But if that's 150, then the 150 does have to be congruent to the 5y. So you can set those two guys equal and find y to be 30. Again, there are going to be times where you take angles and you add them up and set them equal to 90. Well, if they're complements or they form a right triangle. Sometimes you're going to take angles, angle 1 plus angle 2 and equal 180. Well, you're going to do that if they're supplements or you know they're a linear pair. Sometimes you're going to set an angle equal to an angle, like in this case, because they're vertical, or somehow you're told they're congruent, or you know that an angle bisects, or a ray bisects an angle, so you know they're congruent. There's all different situations that you can do, but in essence, it's a little more vocab and a little more problem solving and thinking, okay, how can I set this up? Whether it's with ratios, whether it's setting equal to 90, setting equal to 180, or you know what? Setting them equal to each other. But think through the process, do some solid algebra, and this will get you through almost all of the angle situations. Again, vertical, linear pair, complements, supplements, and on the previous one we talked about like acute, obtuse, right, what it meant to be straight, things like that. Okay, hopefully this helps you out.